This is a sample of the information provided as part of the flexible training resources available through HACCP.com. Our training courses are designed to provide training participants with an understanding of food safety and quality system elements and also offer user-friendly assessment activities and competency checklists to complete the training cycle. Key definitions for catering and food service standards. Catering, the provision of ready-to-consume food and/or beverages. Consumer, an individual who purchases and/or consumes goods from the food business. Customer, an individual or business that purchases goods or services from the food business. Food retailer, a business that sells goods or services to a consumer or a customer. Food service, the industry related to producing, transporting, wholesaling, or retailing prepared foods and/or beverages. Ready to consume, foods and/or beverages intended to be consumed with minimal or no preparation by the consumer. Catering and food service standards development. When considering the development, documentation and implementation of catering and food service standards within food safety and quality management systems, the following information should be considered to ensure effective outcomes. About catering and food service standards. Catering and food service businesses are generally required to meet the same regulatory standards as other food businesses within any given region, though some requirements are applied differently due to the just-in-time and ready-to-consume status of foodstuffs facilitated as catering and food service offerings. Industry and customer standards may also be applied similarly to other food businesses. Key elements of food compliance for catering and food service businesses are identified below, including crossover between catering and food service standards and food retail businesses. Classes of catering and food service businesses. Catering and food service standards for vulnerable populations. Food safety management. What is a food safety management system? Key elements of food safety programs for catering and food service businesses. Food compliance culture. Allergen management. Food safety supervisors. Packaging standards. And labeling standards. Crossover between catering and food service standards and food retail businesses. Some jurisdictions may class catering and food service businesses as food retailers where they are supplying customers and/or consumers directly. In such cases, some or all requirements for catering and food service businesses may also apply to the food retail business. Further information regarding food retail standards can be found within the HACCP.com Food Retail Food Standard element. Classes of catering and food service businesses. Catering and food service businesses may be allocated to different classes of food businesses within their operational jurisdictions. Common classes of catering and food service businesses include aged care, cafes, catering business, charities, child care, hospitals, home-based businesses, institutional care, and restaurants. Food safety program requirements may differ within some jurisdictions based upon the class allocated. Some catering and food service businesses may also be classed as retail businesses within some jurisdictions. Catering and food service standards for vulnerable populations. Within some jurisdictions, enhanced food safety controls are required for participants within the catering and food service sector, particularly for those participating within the following sectors: aged care, charities, child care, hospitals, and institutional care. Vulnerable populations are considered to have heightened levels of susceptibility to foodborne illness, and so the food safety controls for related catering and food service operations require additional attention to detail. Vulnerable populations may include the elderly, generally people 65 or older, the very young babies and infants, those with reduced immunity, people with underlying medical conditions or who are undertaking medical treatments, pregnant women. The key considerations for catering and food service standards for vulnerable populations above and beyond base-level food compliance requirements include avoiding the service of potentially hazardous foods which may carry higher levels of risk for vulnerable consumers, ensuring ingredients or finished products with a risk of pathogens such as salmonella and listeria are suitably processed and/or handled to reduce the likelihood of related foodborne illness occurring. clear and concise food labeling and supporting information to ensure consumers are aware of enhanced risks for vulnerable consumers. You need to be aware of any specific compliance requirements, regulations, or licensing for catering and food service standards to vulnerable populations within your regions of operation. Food safety management. Every time a consumer eats, they are reliant on many stages of the food supply chain to ensure that their food is safe and of substantial quality. The food supply chain commonly begins in the paddock and progresses through various stages including preparation, packing, warehousing, distribution, processing, presentation, and service. Every part of the supply chain must be responsible for their role in controlling potential hazards that may render foods unsafe or unsuitable for consumers. Most foodborne illness incidents are the result of a lack of control of hazards during one or multiple stages of the paddock-to-plate food chain. In the current age of rapidly changing legal requirements and rampant litigation, food safety management systems are a prescribed and essential component of all food businesses and their suppliers. Having a well-managed and maintained food safety management system operating within your business need not be an overly complex, expensive, or time-consuming task. The prerequisite for any food safety management system is a commitment to science-based food hazard analysis, identification and control, and elements that are part of any quality management system: policy, structure, training, awareness, responsibility, communication, documentation, and verification. It is a common misconception when food safety incident occurrences are immediately blamed on a previous chain of supply stakeholder. As food production and service have become more complex, the onus for food safety and quality accountability is relevant to everyone who is involved in the paddock-to-plate food chain. It is not just those who are in direct contact with the food that needs to be aware of food safety and quality requirements, it is also the housekeeper who had returned from the restroom to fold your napkin with unwashed hands. The kitchen hygienist who has wiped a soiled kitchen workbench with the same cloth used to polish your plate. The production worker with an unreported communicable illness. The warehouse supervisor who ignores temperature fluctuations in a storage chiller. Or the wait staff member who had removed dust by blowing into your soon-to-be-filled butter pot. The application of food safety management is far-reaching in its scope and purpose in our modern age, and everyone involved is accountable for food safety within our business operations. Further information regarding food safety management can be found within the HACCP.com Food Safety Management Food Standard element. Did you know that HACCP.com includes resources that allow you to create, manage and implement GFSI and HACCP-based food safety and quality programs? Improve your food safety and quality skills and knowledge? Train and develop your team to create better food safety and quality outcomes? Find suppliers and service providers to partner with your business? The information and training resources available through HACCP.com included a variety of formats, such as website content, MP4, MP4 and text, MP3, PDF and slideshow. Are you ready to take the next step in your food compliance journey? Visit HACCP.com today to create your profile and access the full versions of our food safety and quality information packages and much more.